Good evening, I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Kyle Clark. If we eat our vegetables and we exercise regularly, we might live long enough to see the end of construction at DIA. New report from the Denver auditor blames the long delays in the airport construction on a lack of oversight.
Yeah, most of us have no memory without construction.
Nope.
It also says the airport is at risk of overspending on a project that's now on track to cost over $2 billion. 9 News reporter Spencer Soisher looks into it.
The Denver auditor put out a report in 2023 labeling 7 areas that the Denver airport needed to fix with construction issues. Now he's issued a follow-up report and says that the Denver airport only implemented 2.5 of those 7 fixes. There are some things DIA is known for. Some of it is permanent. Some of it is supposed to be temporary. Would you like this to get wrapped up soon, though?
Heck yeah!
I'm frustrated when I go through the airport.
Denver auditor Tim O'Brien is a lot like the travelers at DIA. Over the Great Hall construction at the airport. Construction that began in 2018 and should have been done years ago.
I think the lack of management and oversight is definitely a direct result of that.
In a follow-up to an audit from 2023, O'Brien's office says the airport lacks oversight on the project, especially monitoring the work of contractors and subcontractors.
It certainly has extended the time frame for this reconstruction of the Great Hall to take place in.
I mean, I feel like it's been going on forever, so we're used to it, we'll put it that way.
It's not just taking forever, though it's scheduled to last till 2028, 10 years. O'Brien says it's also likely wasting money.
I think the latter. I think they're opening themselves up to spending money in places maybe where they didn't need to because the plan wasn't comprehensive enough.
The airport's behind schedule project isn't funded by taxpayers. The money for it comes from airport revenue. DIA responded to the auditor's report, saying they appreciated it, but, quote, remains confident that it has adequate controls in place to ensure proper oversight of its projects. A project that's becoming less temporary and more permanent.
Is what it is. I'm used to it.
The Denver auditor says there's no plans to do a follow-up to the follow-up, but says that the auditor's office will continue to monitor the construction at DIA. Reporting at Denver International Airport, Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
The Trusted Traveler program has been suspended at Peterson Space Force Base and Shriver Space Force Base until further notice. It allows members to use expedited lanes at U.S. airports and when crossing international borders. That means any individuals without a DoD-approved access credential will be required to obtain a visitor pass, even when traveling with a DoD ID card holder. Officials sent out this advisory this afternoon. They say it's out of an abundance of caution after the attacks in Las Vegas and New Orleans yesterday, although they say there are currently no known threats at the 2 installations in Colorado.
We're learning more tonight about the Coloradan believed to have died when flammable materials in the bed of a Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Investigators identified the man today as 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger. Say he lived in Colorado Springs and rented that Cybertruck in Denver through the app Turo. Livelsberger was a highly decorated member of the U.S. military, a Green Beret who had been deployed twice to Afghanistan. Investigators say he shot and killed himself right before the explosion. Inside the truck, they found his military ID and passport, along with gas canisters and guns that he bought just before Christmas. Nothing yet on a motive. Federal agents executed a search warrant at his duplex in Colorado Springs last night. We talked with a neighbor down there who described Livelsberger as friendly.
I'm really shocked. I would have never thought that that would be him. Just normal, just a nice guy.
Livelsberger was on approved leave from the military when all this happened.
The FBI says there is no definitive link between the blast in Las Vegas and the attack in New Orleans. There are a lot of questions about whether they were connected after we learned the 2 men both spent time at Fort Bragg and used the same car rental app. The FBI now says the driver in the New Orleans Rampage acted alone. It's a reversal from yesterday when they said he likely worked with others in the attack that killed 14 people. It left roughly 30 others injured, including Jeremy Sensky. He says he was returning to his hotel when he heard a loud noise. That's the last thing he remembers before he ended up face down on the ground with his wheelchair smashed around him.
Finally I called, his name was Patrick. He came over and he told me that there was a lot of people didn't make it and they were dead. And I was lucky to be alive.
Sensky was paralyzed from the waist down before the attack. He now has 2 broken legs and has undergone surgery. He says he's still in disbelief.
Snow's been piling up in the high country. Here's a look at what Bret got over the last 24 hours. While this round of weather's coming to a close, expect another wave over the weekend, a storm that could bring some snow down to lower elevations. Kathy Sabin, what do we think about Denver?
I do think by Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, we'll start to see maybe the snow flying right here in the city. Each day that passes, the models are coming into better agreement about that. Hard to believe after a day with sunshine and 50 degrees. We're still dealing with a little bit of travel issue on I-70, but things much improved. We did have all the winter weather and travel advisories canceled out at 5 o'clock. Denver will have mild weather to end the week, but that storm that we're tracking for the weekend will bring a return of mountain snow as early as tomorrow night. Temperatures have been hovering in the lower 30s, mid 20s for the last couple of hours, and the wind is finally starting to decrease along the Front Range, but still very gusty for areas like Loveland Pass, Dumont, and Netherland. Not a lot to show on radar. We had a couple of light scattered snow showers yesterday. Skies will clear, and those residual snow showers that linger into the morning and then the afternoon east of Fort Morgan and Sterling are long gone. So we've got mid 30s over the next few hours. Coming up in Maine weather, will detail the extended forecast and snow forecast for the metro area.
Commerce City Police say their officer, who was hit by a suspected drunk driver this week, suffered a severe concussion. The officer was sitting in his SUV, working a separate crash on I-270 west of Vasquez when a driver hit the back of his patrol car. This happened just after midnight on New Year's Eve. Police expected the officer to be released from the hospital today and taken to a rehab facility near his home. The driver who hit him is expected to be charged with DUI and vehicular assault. CSP would like to strengthen penalties for people convicted of drinking and driving.
9 News reporter Colton Chavez is along now. Colton, this is the time of the year for people to put pressure on the state legislature before they start their session. And what does the head of CSP want them to do on drunk driving laws?
Well, Kyle, CSP says they aren't looking to really reinvent the wheel, but they do believe that extending some of the penalties we already have in place could help us see fewer drunk driving crashes.
It's life-taking, if not life-changing.
The Department of Transportation says 1/3 of Colorado's deadly car crashes in 2023 involved an impaired driver.
We were fortunate a few years ago to get a felony DUI law passed in Colorado, so for repeat offenders, it is a felony now.
Colorado State Patrol Chief Matthew Packard wants more to be done.
Last year, we worked on legislation to try to increase penalties, particularly for repeat offenders around specifically using the interlock device.
An interlock device prevents a driver convicted of DUI from starting their vehicle after they drink by requiring a breath sample.
2023, in just our state alone, there were almost 55,000 denied starts by an interlock device. That's 55,000 times that somebody that already has been arrested and convicted tried to start a car with alcohol in their system.
Chief Packard says that increasing the amount of time someone must have an interlock in their car would give them fewer opportunities to drink and more time to seek help.
Somebody that's getting arrested multiple times for driving impaired, they clearly have a substance abuse problem. And that interlock device or other access to treatment can help us decrease this issue as well.
And CSP hopes to cut deadly DUI crashes involving alcohol by 15% this year. They hope by putting more troopers out on the road, that will also help. Colton Chavez, 9 News.
The Douglas County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help to find a driver involved in a rollover hit-and-run crash. The Sheriff's Office posted pictures on social media today. They're looking for a 2015-2016 Dodge Durango. It's red or maroon, silver rims. The Sheriff's Office says it has front-end damage, possibly missing parts of the front bumper. It was involved in a crash around 12:15 Sunday morning near Kendrick Castillo Way and Plaza Drive. Anyone with information is asked to call the Douglas Sheriff's Office.
Weeks after he was fired amid a criminal investigation, the former chief of Jeffco Public Schools has been found dead in Maryland. A spokesperson for the Washington County Sheriff's Office in Maryland said David Weiser was found dead yesterday morning. They believe he took his own life. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says he had been visiting family at the time. Jeffco Schools fired him last month, but didn't say why. This morning, they announced he was being investigated for having child abuse sexual material.
Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser has become the first major Democrat to announce for governor in 2026. He's described himself in the past as Colorado's chief law enforcement officer, despite the AG's office having limited dealings with most types of crime. Today, Weiser hedged when I asked him if Coloradans should hold him accountable on public safety. How about violent crime, which often tends to be top of mind when people think about crime? Do you bear any responsibility for that as the self-described chief law enforcement officer of the state?
The challenge, obviously, is there's a lot of components to what contribute to the overall environment. A lot of them I won't, as Attorney General, have control over. Some of them as governor, you have control, many you don't. We all have got to do our part. Crime is a real challenge right now, and if all of us aren't asking what can we do to reduce crime, we're not serving the people of Colorado. I'll keep doing that as Attorney General, and I'll do that as governor.
Could you briefly give me one thing that you would do to improve public safety in Colorado?
We need to get better at how we build a reentry system that works. Right now, half the people or so who leave prison to go back to communities end up back in prison having committed crimes within 3 years.
Far worse than a bunch of other states.
That's correct. We have to do a whole lot better. I started some pilot efforts here, and we need to focus smartly on how do we prevent crime. One of the best ways we can do that is help people get a job when they leave prison so they don't end up committing more crimes, end up back in prison.
You can find my full 20-minute conversation with AG Weiser on the next YouTube channel. There, he closely aligns himself with all of Governor Jared Polis's priorities. He says he supports the deportation of people who have committed crimes. And Weiser defended his decision to take credit for stopping the Kroger-Albertsons merger, even though it was other state attorneys generals whose lawsuits killed that deal.